I never imagined I'd fall in love with someone like her. Someone who, on a blistering summer day in Washington, stood in the middle of a swarming crowd, gripping a megaphone like a weapon, her voice slicing through the thick, humid air as she demanded prison reform. Not requested, demanded. And there she was, Lauren, sitting on a bench moments later, her eyes blazing with conviction, her words still echoing in the air like ripples from a dropped stone. She wasn't just protesting. She was commanding attention, radiating purpose. And somehow, in a sea of chanting voices and waving signs, everything else blurred into silence, like a camera lens focusing sharply on just one subject. I was there to photograph the rally for a freelance magazine gig. I wasn't politically involved. Not really. I hovered on the sidelines of movements, observing with respect, sometimes awe, but rarely participating. I admired the people who could throw themselves into a cause, who lived and breathed conviction. Me. I was always more comfortable behind the lens than in the center of any revolution. But Lauren was different. The way she moved, the intensity in her voice, the way she seemed to make the pavement beneath her feet vibrate. It was magnetic. She made the protest feel like fate. I stood up from the bench, camera bouncing gently against my chest, heart doing the same. I approached her, unsure whether I was more captivated by her passion or her presence. "You were the only one I could hear clearly in the whole crowd," I said, voice uncertain, sincere. She raised an eyebrow, the corner of her mouth twitching upward. "Is that a pickup line, or are you looking for a quote?" "Why not both?" She laughed, loud, unapologetic, full of life. That laugh would go on to echo through the next few years of my life. We had coffee that same day. 1 cup became 2, then 3. By the time we parted, we were already planning our second date. Lauren was exhilarating, the kind of person who made you feel like the world was just waking up. She was studying political science, already knee-deep in activism, managing campaigns, organizing events, delivering speeches with the kind of fervor that made people listen. She had that fire. I didn't burn like she did, but I think that's what she liked about me. My stillness, my ability to just be there, grounded. I think she needed that sometimes, someone who could bring calm to the chaos. We moved into a tiny attic apartment in Arlington. It was imperfect but full of life. Crooked bookshelves, piles of political flyers, late-night ramen dinners, and the soothing scent of mint tea she always brewed before bed. For a while we were perfect in our own way. We danced around each other in the kitchen, laughed at burnt toast, made love like the world didn't exist outside our window. We whispered dreams into the ceiling as we lay tangled in each other's arms. I was alive in a way I had never been before. But love, as I learned, doesn't always withstand ambition. Started gradually. Lauren landed a job as the press secretary for Nathan Keene, a young, charismatic politician who had his eyes set far beyond local office. She was electrified. "This is it," she told me, her eyes alight. "This is what I've been working for." Of course I was proud of her. I supported her. I stayed up late with her while she edited speeches, rubbed her shoulders when she came home exhausted, cooked her dinner even if it got cold before she remembered to eat. But soon, her phone rang more than she spoke to me. There were emails, messages, late-night calls, always from work. She began to drift. Her laughter became rarer. Her touch more infrequent. The mornings that once began with kisses and sleepy cuddles now started with hurried footsteps and muttered, "I'm late," before the door clicked shut. I told myself not to worry, that this was just a phase, that the fire inside her needed fuel, and I had to let her burn a while. But the silence between us grew, heavy, unspoken. We started living next to each other instead of with each other. Then came the conference in Chicago. She told me about it on a Friday afternoon. Just tossed it out there like a calendar reminder. "Keene wants us all there. I'll be gone until Sunday night." I helped her pack. I slipped her favorite jacket into the suitcase and tucked a handwritten note inside one of the pockets. "Come back to me." I hoped she'd find it, smile, maybe even cry a little. Remember what we were. She left early Friday morning. Sunday evening, everything shattered. Jason, an old friend of mine and a political photographer, called me unexpectedly. "Hey, Adam," he said. "Listen, I wasn't sure if I should tell you this, but I saw Lauren in Chicago. With Keen." "Yeah," I said, my throat tight. "She mentioned the conference." "No, man. I saw them. At the hotel bar. They were close. Really close. They kissed. Not like coworkers. It was more. I couldn't breathe." I thanked him numbly and hung up. I sat at the edge of our bed, eyes locked on the empty spot where her suitcase had rested. The note I'd written sat on the nightstand like a cruel joke. "Come back to me." She came back Monday morning, smiling. Hugged me. Said the conference went well. Pretended nothing had changed. And for a moment I pretended too, until the weight of suspicion became too much. I did something I never thought I would. I opened her tablet. I knew the password. Told myself it was justified. And there they were, messages. Dozens of them. Emails. Late-night texts. Things like "I miss your hands" and "last night was perfect." Heart emojis. Whispered promises. "I wish we didn't have to hide." Took pictures. My hands shook. My stomach twisted. I felt like a ghost in my own life. That night I sat her down. I put the screen in front of her. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She just stared at the screen and said, "You shouldn't have seen that." No apology. No regret. Just a line as cold as marble. "You cheated on me," I said, my voice trembling. "I didn't want to hurt you," she replied flatly. "But this job. This life. Keen and I, we understand each other. We're building something bigger than just a relationship. You don't live in my world." She said it so calmly, like she was talking about choosing a new coffee shop. "You and I," she continued, "have been on hold for a long time. You don't burn the way I burn." And that was it. That was the moment I realized she was already gone. She had been gone for months. I left the next morning. She didn't follow. She didn't beg. She just stood there, arms wrapped around herself, eyes red, lips pressed into silence. At the door I said one last thing. "You traded love for politics. I hope it was worth it." She whispered, "It's not about power." But I didn't respond. Closed the door behind me. The following months were a fog of therapy sessions, long walks, and silent meals in a studio apartment I could barely afford. I threw myself into photography again, took assignments, tried dating. But I flinched when women raised their voices. I shut down when laughter felt too familiar. Trust had become a stranger. Then, as the leaves turned, the headlines came. Keen under investigation for financial misconduct, fraud, embezzlement, scandal. Emails surfaced, photos, bank records. Lauren's name was everywhere. She had become the public face of a political train wreck. She was fired, disgraced. Social media turned on her like wolves. I didn't rejoice. I didn't send snide texts or post gloating comments. I just felt hollow. Not for me. For the woman who had once lit up my world with her laugh. The one who had traded everything for a dream that used her up and left her in ruins. A year passed. Then a letter came, no return address. Just a crumpled envelope with smudged handwriting. "You were right. I lost everything for nothing. I hope you're at peace." I stared at it for hours. Then I tucked it between the drawers of my nightstand, stepped over it and kept walking. Lauren taught me a hard truth. That unchecked ambition can devour everything it once claimed to cherish. That love, real love, needs to be chosen over and over, not left behind for someone who talks prettier or promises louder. I loved her. Fully. Deeply. Honestly. But in the end, she didn't love me enough to stay. She chased a dream that never truly saw her. And when it ended, she was alone. And me. I walked away finally free.